Welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about the human body proportions. Our goal for the day is to draw out the human proportions of the little mannequin figure that I'll have in class. This one, my drawing is just a little bit smaller than the actual mannequin so that we can fit it on our paper. But we are going to learn about all the proportions and kind of how the human body all fits together. So to get started, you're going to need a nice sheet of paper. And on the back of your paper, you're going to write your name. First name, my name is Mr. Lundgren. You're going to write your name, first and last name, please, and then write your section. Let's say this is 7B. All right, your period and the day that you have art. Now, at the top of our paper, these are the things we're learning. Okay, we are learning human body proportion. All right, so write that down. And outside of the human body proportion, we are going to be learning that the average, and again, this is the average. The human body varies greatly within the average, okay? But the average human proportion is 8 heads tall. All right, so coming along with that brings the next piece. We need to figure out how we're going to arrange our proportions, right? So to measure out our proportions, the head is our measuring tool. Okay, and that's going to give us the correct proportion, because that's what we're going to use to do our proportions. Okay. Next, some things that we're going to observe as we go through class is that the shoulders are wider than the hips. Okay, so that's something we'll observe, and I'll show you some demonstrated examples of as we go through class and watch the video. All right. Next, the arms are about, again, this is an average, about 4 heads long. And that 4 heads is from the sternum to the fingertip. Okay. Next, we're going to observe the same kind of drawing structure for the whole rest of this unit that we did at the beginning of our hand drawing. So the steps are, number 1, you would find your envelope. Number 2, you're going to pay attention to the structure. And as we talked about structure, we talked about the bones and the sections, and that stuff is really giving us the proportion. Okay, and then 3, we'll go to the contour lines. And then finally, on our final drawing, we'll add in value in order to create the form. Not from, sorry. Form. I can spell sometimes. Okay, the form. Okay, so I'll freeze that up on the screen and give you a minute to copy things down and make sure you've got it all. Good. Now that we've got that copied down, you're going to flip your paper over and we're going to start observing the human form. In class, I also have a PowerPoint that I might show as far as like the human proportions and such. But basically, the human is 8 heads tall. Now, that's an average. Some people are a little shorter, some people are a little smaller. Some people have a shorter torso. Some people have shorter legs. It all kind of depends. But basically, let's talk about the different sections here. We've got obviously the head, the neck, the torso is like this part. Then we've got the abdomen here, which is like your belly. And you've got the pelvis, which attaches to the hips. Excuse me. The hips, which attach to the femur. And then you've got the shin. And then you've got, your knees and your feet. On your arms, you've got your shoulder and your elbow and your hand and your forearm. And we'll talk about all those parts in class, and we'll talk about how the joints kind of function. Okay, now that we've talked about how all that stuff kind of functions and works together, notice where things fall. If you use your head as your measuring tool, you can see kind of the center of the chest is about the second line down here, and if I draw it a little darker on my paper, all right, the third line down, 3/8 would be at the navel, 4/8 would be here at the bottom of the pelvis, 5/8 would be about middle of the thigh, 6/8 is the knee, 7/8 is about the middle of the shin, and 8/8 or the whole human that ends at the heel. All right, so first what we're going to do is we're going to kind of divide our paper up. I'm going to slide my little guy over there so that I can properly do the example on the new sheet of paper. But basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start with, what's going to be the top of the head, and then start with what will be the bottom of the heels. Okay, and once you've kind of delineated that area, we're going to start breaking it down into eighths. So your first part would be to break it in half. All right, one way to measure is to use your pencil tip and then grip your pencil down here and say, okay, if that's how long the bottom section is, my top section should be approximately the same. And mine is, wow, right on, good guess. Okay, if yours is a little off, you might have to rearrange that line. Now, on my paper, for the purpose of the demonstration, I'm going to put a little dotted line with an arrow, and I'm going to say this is my halfway point, or 4/8, so we can kind of keep track. And I'm going to put my 0 up here and my 1 down here, so we can just keep track of like the different parts. Okay, if I go and look at this top section and I divide it in half, again, I take my pencil, I use the tip and grip down here and then slide my pencil up. Okay, so my bottom section is just a little bit too long, so I'm going to move this line down ever so slightly and erase that first line I drew. Alright, now I'm going to go back and measure. Use the tip of my pencil and grip here. Slide it up. Alright, close enough. So that's my next division, which would be 1/4 of the whole, or if you want to think of it as 2/8, that's fine too. And then I'm going to divide this section in half, which is probably about there. Measure it out with my pencil, and good, that's just right on. Now as we move forward in the sense of figure drawing, we're not going to be able to like properly measure, but this is similar to our robot hand. We're learning, it's formative, we're learning about our proportions. Now I want to divide this area in half, approximately there. Measure it, double check it, good, that's right. Got that right in the middle there. So this line up here would be 1/8. That was our 1/4. This one here would be 3/8. And now we go to the bottom section and do the same thing. If we divide this area in half, approximately there, measure it. Good, that's my halfway mark here. So this would be 3/4 or 6/8, not 7/8, 6/8. All right, divide this area in half. measure it. It's too tall, so I'm going to move it down. Good, that's right on. And this one would obviously be 5/8. And the next one here is going to be our 7/8. Okay, so now we've kind of got our whole proportional thing measured out like that, and we've done the writing down of the description. So in the next video I'm going to come back and we will continue to fill in the body inside of those proportions.